So this is the final game of the tournament. You already know that it is mortifying for me. So let's see how. Lembit, can't my opponents just lose quickly and not be rude? Right? Perfect world. So I got to Karo twice in a row here, but this time I was excited because it's a 2 knights Karo. And all book moves so far. This is move 5. Now this is move 6. All book moves, all book moves. And here, dead equal, all book moves. I attack the queen, and this is sneaky. This is sneaky. And the reason it's sneaky is the queen obviously moves out of the way because she doesn't want to lose herself. So we take the knight, and the sneaky part is if the queen takes, this pawn is undefended. Best move, book move, actually, is to take this way. That's what I've trained for. So imagine my glee when my opponent takes with the queen. Ha! Free pawn, baby! Best move. Best move. Except that, I'll pause, this opponent, another aggressive chess-playing little boy. And I think once he saw that both queens were out, his eyes were like, this is my Christmas. This is what I was born to do. And do I know how to play with my queen out early? Resoundingly, frick no, I don't. But my opponent sure is. Well, he does. Let's just say he does. So he starts kicking my queen around. And of course he does, because when your queen's out early, what do you do but attack it? So I offer a queen trade. If he traded queens with me right now, oh my god, I would be drooling at the continuation of this game. Because if he takes, I take with the pawn. I have 2 central pawns. Oh, awesome. He declines that trade, which that's fine. That's good. That's cool. So I move this pawn, which is best move here. And unfortunately, the annoying thing about his queen being here is I cannot develop my bishop yet without dropping this pawn. So that's on my mind. He attacks my queen again. And here I missed a great move. I thought about fianchetto, but actually fianchetto is... Why did I write that off? There's a reason I didn't think fianchettoing worked in this game. And Krishna, I can always go back to d8 with the queen. Yeah, actually here, is d8 okay? Yeah, d8 would have been fine, and I think I should have done that. Interestingly, where are we in the game? Interestingly, at this point, queen d8 is a mistake. You would have played queen d5. I considered queen d5, but didn't love my queen leaving the d file because potentially she doesn't have a square to escape to anymore. So I was trying to think of like, what moves do I have to not lose my queen? Does e5 work here? It's an inaccuracy, but better than what I did. So in this position, I bring the queen back further, which is a mistake. And you'll see why it's a mistake shortly. But does anybody spot best move? What's best move here? It's not returning the queen to d8. It's not giving a check with the queen from e5. Queen f5? I considered f5 as well, but the pawn structure that results from this potential trade, I don't love it. And all the work I did to get that free pawn, little undercut with that. And a couple of you in chat, Lembit and James, yeah, you both suggested h5, which is best move here. Counter-attacking the queen. The pawn structure that would have resulted with the f5 here would have been fine. You'd have pretty great light square control, but the fact that they have the bishop pair, I wouldn't love what it would do for the dark squares. Yeah, h5, great move. And I think I might have thought of that idea, but I don't know. Oh, actually, let me preface this game by saying I was not feeling well. I canceled stream Friday for a similar reason. I just like, I don't know if I'm fighting off a bug or something, but some afternoons recently, I've just really not been feeling well. I almost went home after round 3 because I was just not feeling well. I think the combination of like, not the combination, the accumulation of my nerves, which were really bad at this tournament, like physically, just it was kind of starting to take its toll, and I almost went home, but I kind of thought, no, I want to finish the tournament, and if I start playing round 4 and I'm just really not feeling well, I could go home. Like, but let me start playing, maybe I'll start feeling better. And I wasn't feeling better. I was not playing at 100%. It was also round 4 of a long day of chess. Like, I was not doing great, guys. So, especially because these are way more kind of aggressive moves than I prefer. I was missing ideas like this, and I don't think h5 was in my candidate list here. So I brought my queen back, and the reason this is a mistake is because it allows their bishop to slide in with really, really big, terrifying ideas, right? The big, terrifying idea being that my queen's on D, which a moment ago was fine, but now it's not fine. And yeah, h5 is tough to commit to, because it's flinging a pawn out into space in a side of the board you're probably going to castle, and then later on that pawn could be an issue. But no, it was the appropriate way to handle their queen being out early, right? If a queen's out early, what do? You attack it. My opponent got that memo, and I failed to read it. And so in this position, I tried to kick the bishop, completely not considering this move. And so opponent, once again, like every move for the past 10 moves basically has been them kicking my queen. And so I go queen c8, which is a huge freaking blunder. Engine says it's a mistake, but it's a blunder. Why is it a blunder? Because there goes my queen. There goes my queen. That's not the move that my opponent played. So luckily for me, he had grander ideas that he was brewing involving this, and he was not ready to simply trade a queen for a rook and a bishop. Queen c8 instead of h6. Does queen c8 work in this position? Because yeah, then a knight could potentially come in. This still is not great. h5 continues to be the idea here. Basically only move, according to the engine. Yeah. So where were we? I made this blunder. White misses it and takes the pawn here. And I realized that he just hung his bishop for a pawn, right? He just hung his bishop for a pawn. And I was like, okay. Because I can take this with check. I spotted this. I spotted this as being a huge threat, right? If my queen isn't here protecting d8, that is mate. Right? That's mate. But luckily this is with check, so I got the bishop for free. So I made that move. And then my opponent immediately, he pounces on it and he moves his rook and says, check, or mate, good game. And he starts cleaning up the pieces a little bit. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And he didn't start cleaning up the pieces. That was a hyperbole. But he thought he just won the game, and I was like, I was like, what just happened? What? And it took me a minute to be like, wait, no, you're in check. Um, and so he took his move back, but I was so flustered. I was so flustered because I thought I had accounted for everything, and the fact that he just declared mate, I like I've never had to do that over the board. Remember, I'm still pretty new to over the board. I've played this was my 20th ever over the board game, and I've never had to correct anybody on a game move, especially not mate. Um, Pause the clock ASAP. Um, I just told him he couldn't do that, and and he took his move back. So if there was a different way to handle it, I don't know. Um, so he thinks a little bit here. You call an arbiter to report an illegal and turn that around. Um, ankle biter. Yeah, this was another very, very small child. Well, okay, chat, you might have to help me in a moment here then. I mean, it's all a moot point now, but so he thinks here because he was really banking on that plan working, and he goes king f1, and well, so I'm up a bishop, and remember, I'm not feeling well, and I promise you, the most mortifying game of my over the board career. Yep, you know where this is headed. Did I take that free queen? Absolutely, I did. And as soon as I took the queen, I was like, oh no, no. Because I remembered what had just happened a second before. Oops. Yeah, am I blushing enough that it's showing on my camera? Because, yeah. Yep, that happened. And then this freaking little kid, like, he's 9 years old. I cut him a little bit of slack here. But while the slap is still stinging, he goes, I can't believe you did that because I like told you what my plan was going to be when I accidentally did that the move before and you still did it. And I was like, in my head, I didn't say this out loud because it's still a child at the end of the day, but I was like, shut the frick up. Stop talking. Just stop talking. Yeah. There's absolutely no redeeming this game for me. Like, and so yeah, the past 24 hours, it's been 26 hours since this game concluded on move 17 with me. Past 26 hours, I keep oscillating between just complete ridiculous like humor for this. So I keep oscillating between that and just being completely embarrassed. Um, yeah, yeah. And yeah, I I was not feeling great, and losing this way did not help that. You felt ill after this game. I mean, yeah, I literally did, and I haven't cried after an over the board game. I didn't cry after this one, which is a little shocking. I think it was just like so ridiculous that I couldn't emotionally invest enough energy to cry about it. But I did sit in my car and call my husband and be like, I just did a really dumb thing. Even after Queen takes the pins along the 8th rank. This is completely winning for me. This is completely winning for me in a couple different ways. How much time did I have? Well, this was move 16, and we only left book uh here. So we had been out of book for 7 moves, and I wasn't thinking. I was really shaken by the attempt of mate here. I was really shaken by it. And so I used a lot of my mental and emotional energy to respond to this. Um, Meaning that on this move, right? On this move, I didn't spend any time. Before King F1. Oh, so yeah, before King F1, um, Queen takes. Well, no, I calculated this, James. And I welcomed this trade because then this is not a problem for me because my pawn capture created an escape square. Is it pleasant? No, but I'm still up a piece. Um, I'm up a piece, and my opponent was playing very quickly and very aggressively, so getting that queen off the board was very much worth it to me. To have my castling rights ruined. Momentary brain farts where you forget the thing you've been avoiding for the longest time. Yes, so between this game and game 2 of this same tournament where I just like completely missed their attacking idea, um, which turned games that had been in my favor into games that I lost with pretty swift mates. Um, the mental focus needed for over the board length is something that I have to adjust to, as well as learning how to better respond to aggressive players. It is completely winning for black. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a good tactic, but you don't like it. I mean, okay, so getting back to a couple of you in chat were saying, and I didn't do this because I didn't know it was an option, but after he had done this move, right, Engine's not even going to let me make it because it's not legal, but after he attempted to illegally mate me with rook d8, what were my options? We're telling him to take his move back and him actually taking, was that an acceptable way to do things, or should I have been a hard ass and had him forfeit the game? Like, is that something you can do? Pause the clock and call an arbiter. Public execution. Oh no, an ad break. Ugh, frick. I can't stop this one. Fire. Public execution. You know, did I want to strangle this child after this attempt? Yeah, I did. I did. Call an arbiter, show the score sheet. Krishna, you don't know about USCF rules, but in FIDE, you call the arbiter, report the illegal, cause technically the second illegal equals a loss. Okay. So this was just the first illegal move. I'm assuming the USCF is very similar rules. So the fact that he took back here was fine. I just, as you guys started saying that a couple minutes ago, I was like, oh my god, should I have won this game from a forfeit? If so, that would have been nice. But next time I'll consider calling the arbiter over. You have to report both illegals to get the win declared, so you have to report the first illegal either way. Okay. See, these are all good things to know, that like, how do you learn them? Because even yesterday, an arbiter came over. Actually, this arbiter and I were just chit-chatting on the lunch break about chess and stuff. And when round 3 started, he told me that because I was playing as black, I got to dictate where the clock went, which I didn't know. I didn't know that was a power I had. But like all these little tournament rules and regulations and nuances, how do you learn them? But yeah, would I have fallen for the mate? if I didn't have to handle this scenario, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. Because I wasn't feeling well, and similar to the other game I lost with a dark squared bishop, kind of towards the edge of the board. I just was kind of blind to it in the last game, and maybe I was blind to it in this one, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I knew this was safe. I knew this was safe, and I knew this was strong. Um, James, you guess the two lessons are to develop when you've won a pawn, but give up the bishop pair, and when flustered, maybe take a couple minutes, even get up and walk around a bit. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that taking my time and getting my head right for over the board games, especially when I find myself reacting to my opponent in whatever kind of way. I think that is a huge lesson I learned from this tournament. Um, he should have castled before sacking. Yeah, and okay, before this game, he was a stinking adorable kid. Before the game, we were setting up our pieces, and I asked him how his tournament was going, and he kind of was like, "Oh, not so great," and like super down on himself. So the fact that I could give him this win, and he's telling all his friends about this. All of his friends know the fact that he tried to make an illegal move here, gave away his idea, and I still fell for it. Of course, he's freaking telling everyone he knows who understands chess. So I did that for him. It was out of the goodness of my heart. Did I say check while taking the bishop? I whispered it, but maybe he was so excited he didn't hear me. You never say check when checking someone because if they don't know, you get free time. That's sneaky and I like it. So, yeah, this was hopefully the most embarrassing game of my chess career. Definitely to date, but for the future would also be nice because I don't want to do this again. But exposure therapy to over the board chess. Like, I'm an anxious person, and my mom, when I was growing up, always would be like, what's the worst thing that can happen? And trying to make a point that, like, I'm not going to die. This is probably the worst thing that could ever happen to me in an over the board game, and it happened. So check that one off the list, and now I don't have to be anxious about it anymore, right?